Hello and welcome to the Gooner Talk, back again with you guys for another episode of our Raw Reaction series. Joining you on Wednesday, counting down the days until Sunday with a big match against West Ham getting ever closer. But thankfully we've got some quite incredible Champions League football to tie us over until that point. What a game last night between Manchester City and Real Madrid. Still very much alive. And I'm hoping that the same thing kind of happens in the West Ham game, of course, against Frankfurt on Thursday, keeping that tie around and very much fit and fighting for the second leg, which is obviously next week and in between, or rather, we're in between the two legs in the Europa League. So hopefully something good can come from the game against West Ham on Sunday indeed. I was also looking at the fixtures the other day, and is it weird that the Spurs game is on a Thursday? I know it was being rearranged, so it was always going to be in midweek, but it's just weird. It's just weird that the North London Derby is on an evening. I'm just so used to the North London Derby in the league anyway being kind of, this weekend spectacle. So, yeah, seeing that and looking at where the fixtures are going to fall between now and the end of the season is a bit odd. And then we've got like the Newcastle game on the Monday and then Everton obviously on the Sunday. It's a strange one that we've got these strangely timed fixtures between now and the end. But it means that we've only got, less than a month left until the end of the season is upon us. But yeah, I hope that the game's as exciting as last night's was, because it was a hell of a win for Man City. Let's go into the chat box. AFC West Mids, good morning to you. Shreyas, Mike, Matt G, Damien, Gooner Boy, Stevie, good morning guys. Gooner, Greg, Simon, William, Des Daunt Musician, good morning to you. Zander, Virash, Christopher, good morning. Thanks, Chris. That's a really nice comment. Really appreciate that. Dhruv, good morning, mate. Virash, Adam, good morning to everybody joining us in the chat box. Hope you're doing well. Lynn and Kevin and Kieran. We've got Rich and Canoe and GGTV for you. Plenty more of you as well. Fantastic to see you as always, continuing to make this part of your morning routine. Drop a like on the video if you haven't done so already. It's the first that you log in, you get your orange juice, your coffee, whatever. You drop a like on the video. It shows the support for the channel. It shows you appreciate that we're doing this show every single day, and we're going to continue to do it because you're enjoying it so much. So thank you as always for joining me. We kick off as per by telling you to go and subscribe to the Arsenal Way. As I said, we hit 11,000 subscribers over there. I'll be live at 10 a.m. with the boys to chat even more about Arsenal. But we need to get on with the stories. And the first one is that Gabriel Jesus again scored for Man City against Real Madrid in the Champions League semi-final. Don't say this guy can't score in big games and big goals, because his finish was excellent. I think there was a lot of analysis around David Alaba's poor defending. Am I the only one that thought that the touch from Jesus was really good to turn and spin and get the ball into the right position before he scored? Because I certainly thought that it was it was a very good touch and turn and finish. But that really wasn't the focus. All the focus was on David Alaba during that moment, who, yes, didn't cover himself in glory, don't get me wrong. But yeah, I thought it was great. Is anyone else also feeling like they're watching an Arsenal player on loan at this stage? It's very strange. Whenever he does anything, social media, and I'm part of it, it certainly explodes with delight. It feels like this one is, everyone's kind of come to terms that Jesus will be signing. And whilst I think there's a really good chance of that happening, my goodness, is there going to be disappointment if it doesn't happen now, because the Arsenal fan base has got so much hope and prayers that this deal now happens. We have been kind of dangled this carrot, or we've been dangled Jesus, if you like, and he's we need him to turn water into wine at this stage to get this deal done. That's what we need. That's what we certainly do need indeed. Anyway, let's push onwards to the next story. And Hector Bellerin wishes to remain with Real Betis after winning the Copa del Rey. He really certainly does want to stay in Spain, and Arsenal will negotiate with Betis at the end of the season about a permanent move for our Spanish defender. Arsenal will need to look to get a significant fee. What I would say is that he only has a year left on his deal. I reckon we'll be lucky to get £15 million for Bellerin, but we need to try and get as much as possible, because he's a player in his mid-20s with Premier League experience, and we should be getting a decent figure for him. Anything that we do get for him is, of course, going to be profit, because he came through after we signed him at like 16 years of age from Barcelona for very, very small. I think it was like £500,000. So anything we do get is going to be profit. But yeah, he does wish to remain in Betis for the foreseeable future. Now, the reason why Erling Haaland features amongst our stories today is because you probably saw it. I know that I saw it, and I know that plenty of people have talked about it. But Martin Ødegaard did an interview with a former colleague of mine, Alison Bender, who did some work with us at 101 Great Goals. And she asked him about Erling Haaland. And he obviously talked about him in a way in which he was like, if he's going to come to England, he has to come to us. It's tongue-in-cheek. I get that we want to blow it up and we want to read way too much into this and we want to say that, Ødegaard, bring your mate to Arsenal and all that. But look, it's tongue-in-cheek. It was a joke. It's not happening. It's not going to happen. He's going to go to Manchester City or Bayern Munich. They're the two options that he will have. I don't think he'll go Barcelona. It'll be one of Bayern or Man City, and I lean it towards being very much Manchester City, if not it being done pretty much already. He's not coming. He's not coming to Arsenal. That being said, as I've always maintained, if we get Champions League football, we should definitely activate the release clause and just see what happens. Nothing will happen, I don't think, but there's nothing wrong with us doing that. But that's kind of, what we should be looking to do. But Ødegaard was joking. John in the chat, I think Tom just confirmed Haaland. Yeah, look, he's not coming to Arsenal, so don't get your hopes up, guys. I'm sorry to pour cold water on your fire. Now, Djed Spence, though, is a player that could be more of a possibility. He has had a really, really solid season. We obviously spoke about Djed Spence after he battered Gabriel Martinelli in the FA Cup. And I did an interview with a former colleague of mine, Ross Jackson, who's gone to move on to the Manchester Evening News now. And we wish Ross the absolute best of luck with his new role, that he's been there for a while now. And he really wasn't that keen. And, the interview I had with him has stuck with me. And stuck with me in the sense that I had like 4 people tweet me after he got into the Championship Team of the Year saying, still not want him, Tom. And I was like, all I was doing was reporting what I had been told by someone who has genuinely watched a lot of him prior to this low move. And what this low move has shown is that, he's improved. He's improved a hell of a lot and he's being more consistent. I don't think Arsenal will get him. I really don't think Arsenal will go for him. I don't think he'll command the fee that some people are talking about. He's a 15 to 20 million pound player max. Absolute maximum. Nothing more than 15 to 20 million. Per Mertesacker was at the back and we lost, what was it? Was it 3-1? Something silly like that. And I nearly went up last time, but because of COVID being around, I didn't want to. Let's jump into... There's lag? Oh, the stream keeps cutting out for everyone. Oh, okay. Let's disconnect the cable and go to Wi-Fi. Are we back? Please tell me that we're back a little bit better now. I'm hoping that you can hear me fine. It's back. Okay, yeah. I don't know why I'm trying to use this cable anymore, because whenever I use this cable, it's just it's not working. So we're going to go on Wi-Fi for the moment. Hopefully you can still hear and see me. I'm not redoing the show, Danny. We're just going to have a little 30-second mess up. That's all that's going to happen. Here we go. Right, let's go to our next story, which is Pablo Mari. Pablo Mari. I thought it was my Wi-Fi, Drew, and it turns out it was certainly mine. Pablo Mari is wanted by Udinese and is wanted to be taken there next season on a permanent deal. What I would look to do, though, is try to include something which benefits Arsenal. And that may come in the form of a Argentinian right-back called Naheul Molina. Now, according to Italian media, Arsenal are interested in this right-back who I know very little about. Juventus are also said to be interested, but Arsenal have said that, they're very much in the lead for this kind of race because Pablo Mari is at Udinese and Udinese want Pablo Mari. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we see a player that could come to the club for a lesser fee because obviously we're going to include Pablo Mari in the deal. We'll have to wait and see. Those that are still complaining about the Wi-Fi, there's nothing I can do about it this morning. Clearly, we're going through a little bit of a patch today. Sky, we really need to change our Wi-Fi because it's not very good. But Naheul Molina has scored 6 goals and got 4 assists in 30 Serie A games. playing mainly in a right wing-back role, has played at right back as well on one occasion, has even played right wing, has even played in central midfield this season, believe it or not. Has also played on the left-hand side. He's a hell of a really interesting, versatile fullback, but he's much more of your wing-back style than he is an out-and-out right-back. So whatever happens, we'll wait and see what happens. But I think that, Norton Cuffy, as Reese points out in the chat, is a player that I don't think we should necessarily block the path of. So if you're going to sign a player who can play fullback, I would like, as Drew says there, an Argentine Tyler Adams, like that kind of player. But, he's not the same because he's played mainly at centre midfield as Tyler Adams, whereas Molina is more so a wing back. But Tyler Adams is a really good example of one of those players that you should be looking to sign as a quality central midfielder that can also deputise in the fullback positions. That's what I think we should be looking to do. And I think that is our final story of the day, which obviously means that we're going to move on to you guys in the chat box. I'm hoping that the Wi-Fi does kind of sort itself out. I'm really sorry that the internet is a little bit off today. I will certainly go and get a new Ethernet cable, Calvin, because it seems that this isn't working all that well. Fingers crossed it sorts itself out soon. But let's go to your questions in the chat and keep our fingers crossed that the connection holds for now. Right. I'm just trying to check the feed on my end just to see if it actually changes in any way. Let's go live on the YouTube. Let's see. Oh, okay. I look fairly... Although I've just realised that the green screen effect is... That's not really... it's not really working, is it? I think that's messed up. Hold on. Hey, problem solved. So, but it looks fine on my stream, so I'm hoping that you can see this as well. And we look all good and you can hear me loud and clear. Let's jump into the chat box and see what questions we've got. Rich says, are either Adams or Molina really a big improvement on... Yes, Rich, like massively. A massive, massive upgrade. Tyler Adams in particular is a wildly big improvement on Ainsley Maitland-Niles. Molina, I don't know, because I don't know enough about him. I don't know what he can bring to the table. I don't know enough. I haven't seen enough of him. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Cheerdozy says, if West Ham win the Europa League, no. I've answered this question so many times, and I know that people in the comment section moan at me for answering the questions again. What I would say is that you don't need to worry. 5th and 6th place is Europa League. That is nearly... It's the only way that it wouldn't be is if Chelsea somehow fall out of the... No, even then, it would be Man City or Liverpool would have to fall out of the top 4, which I don't think can happen actually now. So 5th and 6th are Europa League places. Whatever happens. The only way that would have changed was if Crystal Palace had won the FA Cup. They haven't. 5th and 6th are Europa League places. 1 to 4 is Champions League. If West Ham win the Europa League and finish outside the top 6, they will become the 7th team in the competition. 7th place will get Conference League. If Leicester finish outside the top 7 and win the Conference League, they will become the 9th team in European competition next season. There could be 9 English teams in European competition next season. Could. I doubt it, because I think that West Ham will still finish in the top 7. But we'll wait and see what indeed does happen. Philip says, Tom, today's poll, will Arsenal finish 4th or 5th? Yeah, I think that they're pretty much, people are feeling pretty confident right now. If we think of let's try and get a more split divide on something. Vishal says, Tom, would you rather get Haaland and sacrifice one of our problem areas like a backup left back, or make all right signings in all areas? Remember, we're not going to make stellar signings in every position. We're not going to make stellar signings in every position, but I don't think that I'd sacrifice what we could do to get Haaland. I think that, we can sign a top quality striker, a top quality central midfielder, and really strong depth in lots of positions. If you told me that Haaland was still going to be an option and we could still strengthen in other areas, obviously I'll be open to that, but we'll have to wait and see. Let's go to David, who says, do you think Saliba will get any game time next season? I don't know. It's really hard to know what's going to happen with Saliba because it's so unpredictable. I hope so. I absolutely hope that we do. But there's no telling whether or not we will. see him come into the team. We will see him play. There was reports coming out that he doesn't want to break up White and Gabriel, but we've got this situation where there's European football, there's cup games, there's chances for Saliba to play. So why he wouldn't, I don't know. There's no reason why he wouldn't play. So hopefully he comes back and integrates himself into the team. Mitchell says, do you believe the 5-sub rule coming into the play next season should have stipulations like at least 2 academy graduates? I think it should have stipulations about who you have on the bench, but not about who you bring on. But the 5-sub rule, I'm happy is coming back. I think it's going to help. I think it helps with youth development as well. And obviously player welfare too. John says, any news on Leno, where he's going? Who would we be looking at? Thanks for Super Jack Daily. John, I think that, or Jack rather, when it comes down to Leno, he will be off probably to Germany. Somewhere in Germany will likely take him. The other links were to Turkey. Who's coming in? Matt Turner's coming in because we've already signed him. He will be joining the club in the summer from New England Revolution. He is Leno's replacement. A really exciting American goalkeeper. I say exciting. He's mid to late 20s. So he's still fairly experienced from his time in the US, but he's a US men's national team international goalkeeper, has started ahead of Zach Steffen on a number of occasions, and is really highly rated and appreciated. I think it's a good move for Arsenal. Bradsky says, hey Tom, love your show. Happy to see you getting the recognition for your hard work. Thanks, mate. Quick debate, Tammy or Darwin Nunez? I would lean towards Darwin Nunez over Tammy Abraham, personally. Let's go to Reese, who says Paul should be the number 1 striker out of the 4 favourites. Oh, I prefer that. I like that. Yeah, let's do that. Let's do a striker poll, should we? Which striker would you sign? Let's go. I know that people will say, I want 2 strikers, and you're right, so do I. But still, let's try and change it up. We're going to go for Gabriel Jesus. We're going to go for Darwin Nunez. We're going to go for Tammy Abraham. And we're going to go for, who's it makes sense? Osimhen, I suppose, is the other big link, isn't it? So we'll go for Osimhen as the other one. There's your 4. Get your votes into the poll. I will not put Schick in this because we're not heavily linked to him, unfortunately. But there's your 4 options for the poll today. Luis Suarez to Arsenal. No, not for me. Shreya says, hi Tom, do a poll on Osimhen, Nunez or Abraham. Well, I mean, they're all 3 of them are in the poll, so there you go. Jeremy says, Tom, can you explain why you want Gini to be the Xhaka replacement? His progressive carries are in the bottom 20% of Europe, and his progressive passing and pressing numbers are in the bottom 1. Jeremy, you know me, I love my stats, but I would say don't take any notice of, to be honest, this season of what he's been capable of PSG. I just don't buy into it. I look at what he's been capable of at Liverpool. I look at his numbers from Liverpool and what he's done in the Premier League, and when he's given responsibility and time, and given that, that feel-good factor about being a starting player and a guaranteed player week in, week out in the Premier League, and I would look towards that. I think it's also why you shouldn't necessarily buy too much into Yuri Tielemans' stats this season for Leicester. I don't take things off one season when the context tells me not to. I think there are times where you can look more at one season, say with Patrick Schick, for instance, and how he's grown and becoming more of kind of a late bloomer, and you can look more towards that. But I think you need to apply context around stats, and that's what's important. We know that Wijnaldum can and is a world-class player. I just don't think he's having the best time of it at PSG, and it's just not the right environment and place for him, to be fair. Olu says, hey Tom, Man City's depth in full back outside Cancelo and Walker is very average. Do you think that we have an unrealistic expectations on the replacement for our starting 11? I mean, Man City's depth obviously is affected by the Benjamin Mendy situation where they invested £50 million, and that has, fallen away from them, out of their control. So if say they had signed a player for £50 million, they add them into Zinchenko, Cancelo, Walker, that's a very good base of fullbacks. So I think there is an expectation that you can have a very good base of fullbacks and keep as many of them happy as possible. But it is always going to be tricky. What helps is when you have versatile fullbacks. Cancelo is a very versatile fullback. You look at someone like Tomiyasu, a very versatile fullback that can play left, right, and in the central part of the defence. That always helps when you go to sign multiple fullbacks. Leagues says, Tom, what do you think of Jesus and Nunez, Neves and Wijnaldum, Cucurella and AMN as a backup right back so Norton can develop? Jesus and Darwin Nunez would be fantastic forwards to sign. If you said we were signing Gini, Wijnaldum and Ruben Neves, again, that's a very good addition to the central part of the midfield. You'd think, though, we'd only end up getting one. I think we'll only get one central midfielder because Xhaka, because of Lokonga, because of Partey. Cucurella, I'd be very, very happy to see come to the club. Maitland-Niles, I think, should move on. We don't even need to keep him, to be honest. I would go for someone else in that kind of versatile fullback role. Andrew says, if Arsenal get top four, has Arteta's gamble of not signing anyone in January worked? No. Hold on, sorry, let me read that again. Andrew says, if Arsenal get top four, and has Arteta's gamble of not signing anyone? Yeah, of course it has. Of course it's paid off because we get top four. It's still a gamble. You know, if we don't make it, that's going to be one of the biggest reason why, in my opinion, that we don't get it. But it was a gamble, and a gamble, the clue's in the name. You know, there's always a chance that it could work, but that it was a huge risk, certainly worthy of criticism at the time, and still now if we don't make it. We'll have to wait and see what happens, but I think it was still a huge gamble. But if we do get top four, it pays off hugely, and you know we haven't invested where necessarily we might have then been able to use that money in the summer. So let's wait and see what happens. Lynn says, after watching last night's game, Mikel will need to buy very wisely, especially if we get top four. I mean, if we're going to compete with any of these types of clubs, my goodness, have we got to improve our squad massively so. Complex says, why do you think the team's mentality has continued to fail over the last few seasons, even with different managers, when they found themselves in a decent position but don't capitalise? It's a 10-year problem. It's a 10-year problem that's been ingrained towards the end of the Arsene Wenger era, continued through the Unai Emery era when he lost faith and connection in his team, and ultimately the dressing room relationship fell apart. And Mikel Arteta is repairing that by overhauling the squad. We are seeing a team that is much, much different in terms of its mentality to the one that we saw over the past decade, and that is props to Arteta for achieving that. And hopefully it stands us in good stead in putting us ahead of schedule and finishing us in the top four this season. Let's scroll down a little bit more. Yes, there is an Emirates Cup this year. It's only one day, I believe, and I don't know who we're playing. So there you go. Alvaro says, hey, Tom, who do you think will sign at striker besides Jesus? I have no idea. I know that's a really cop-out answer, Alvaro, but I have no idea who we're going to sign. We could sign Osimhen, Nunez. Who else have we got? Tammy Abraham, Jonathan David, Joao Felix, Dybala, Ivan Toney. We could sign any of them. Jesus looks very likely from the way that this story is developing. But I have no idea who we are going to sign alongside him, if anyone. Let's go to Rob, who says, Wijnaldum isn't world class, looks good in Klopp's system, but many Liverpool fans were sick of his lack of progressive passing by the end. I disagree personally, Rob, but that's, again, it's all about opinions. I'm not going to tell you right or wrong, it's just opinions. Victor says, any updates on Runarsson? Yeah, there is a small update on him, actually. He currently playing in Belgium. Basically, they're unable to afford him, which I know may seem crazy to you, but his 1.5 or £1 million valuation is actually more than they can afford. He will return to Arsenal in the summer, and my assumption is that he'll probably be let go of for a smaller fee than maybe we expect. I'm just having a quick check on his, because he got injured as well. He's only worth 1.08 million. He's currently playing for Leuven and has played 17 games, conceding 25 goals, and has got 2 clean sheets. Actually conceded 32 goals in 20 games. He was doing okay for a bit, got injured, and has come back into the team, but has not been by any means amazing. So I imagine he'll leave, but maybe not back to Leuven, who probably can't afford the £1 million fee that it would cost to get him in. Alvaro says, hey Tom, who do you think will sign at striker besides Jesus? I've already answered that one. Martin says, I went for Nunez. I don't buy into the idea of spending big money on someone you lose for almost 2 months every few seasons at a crucial time when they disappear to the AFCON. The AFCON is only, as far as I'm aware, every 4 years, Martin. Is it not? Right. When is the next AFCON dates for the next one? Is the next one not 2025? Is that when the next one is? Where is it? In Guinea. It's in 2025. Is there one in 2023? Let's have a quick check. Oh, there is one in 2023. Okay, fair. It's every 2 years. That shows my inability to know that. I still think it's not a reason to say no to a player, especially when you can get. I mean, think about Thomas Partey. We missed him for what? 3 games. You know, he came back after the group stage. I really don't think it's that big of a deal, and I wouldn't be saying no to a player just because they have African Cup of Nations commitments. That's why you need depth. If you sign a player that's part of the African Cup of Nations or could potentially be, then you sign a player that can compete with them in that position that isn't. So you've got that backup. But to say that you wouldn't sign a player just because they're going to go off the African Cup of Nations, I think ignores a hell of a lot of quality that you can get into your team through it. So there you go. Lynn says, I love our team, but we will need so many quality players because our young players, in my opinion, cannot cope with the Champions League. David says, do you know anything about the 2 American guys that we've signed? Yeah, I spoke just recently about Matt Turner, very highly rated. Austin Trusty was fairly highly rated. I expect him never to play for Arsenal, to be honest. I think he'll go on loan in Europe and then eventually be sold. I think we're basically being used as a little bit of a vehicle to get him into Europe at the moment. I might be wrong, but that's the feeling that I get with that deal. Jeremy says, is Paqueta for 60 million worth it? I feel his addition would level up our attack and truly unlock Martinelli. Selling him could change those squeaky 1-2-1s and wins into 4-0s. Oh, yeah. I mean, he's worth 60 million euros, without a shadow of a doubt. He's a fantastic player, and if Arsenal could get him, they definitely should. Rich says, what do you think needs to change at centre-back? If Saliba arrives and Holding leaves, is that enough, or do we need a 4th choice? Any ideas who, if so? It depends what happens with Pablo Mari as well. If Pablo Mari goes and Holding goes and we just have Saliba, then I think, yes, we probably do need to bring someone in. That being said, maybe we could consider Tomiyasu a right-back option, but then we'd have to go and sign a right-back. So I think that all of those factors are important when considering what we do with the centre-back position. I think next year Tomiyasu has a chance to become much more of a centre-back option for Arsenal because it seems like we're being linked to quite a few of these right-backs. So maybe that is the plan, that we're looking in that position for extra quality and depth. Let's wait and see what happens. Marcus says, who leaves in the summer? We need a bigger squad to cope with Europe. So does this change your mind on who goes? Who leaves? I don't think so. I don't think it changes my mind. The only one that would is El Neni. I think El Neni probably stays now. I probably would keep him in the squads. Good depth, good squad player, good for, the experience in him. But I'd still move on Leno and Cedric, and if someone came with a good bid for Holding, I'd be open to it. Who else would I move on? Torreira's obviously leaving, Guendouzi's leaving. Maitland-Niles I would move on, Reece Nelson I would move on, Lacazette I would allow to go, and Nketiah I would allow to go, Pepe I would allow to go. Who else am I missing? I think that's about it. I'm sure there's a couple that I'm forgetting, but yeah, I would let all of those go. It doesn't change being in Europe. We need to replace them. And of course, you have to think about the kids that come through and can also deputise in certain roles as well. Anthony says, is Basuma still a viable option to go for in midfields? We don't know what's going on with that case. I haven't heard anything about that case, unfortunately, to give us any indication of what's happening. I might just have missed any kind of news on it, but I've not seen it. But the links since that certainly came up have completely gone away. Bradsky says it will be interesting to see how Edu and Arteta recycle the squad with Mainsley, Touré, Bellerin, Eddie, Laka, Leno and Pablo Mari likely to leave if and when, and adding funds into the club. Look, we're going to try and sell players on this summer. That's an absolute given. Players are going to leave this summer as we overhaul more of the squad. Edu talked about not wanting to overhaul too much, but I think naturally we're going to see a lot of players are going to move on as well. Alberto says, tactically, I think Tommy coming back helps as it will allow Nuno to bomb forwards and Granit can cover. I think that we have Tommy in there and that certainly balances our back four, as you say, Alberto, and it will help Nuno. So him coming back now is the best possible time that we could have got Tomiyasu back. Hopefully he starts against West Ham. The Robots will eat you says, I saw your comments on selling Tierney for £50 million to Real if we could get a replacement in who's just as good. Who is that replacement for you? It's a really good question, because you've got to find someone who's as good as Kieran Tierney, but remains fitter than Kieran Tierney. I think you look to players like Grimaldo at Benfica as a possible option. I think you could look to Raum, the German international, as another possible option for Arsenal. Left backs, Tagliafico at Ajax, people talk about very highly of as well, although he struggled to find a move away from Ajax. I'm unsure of who that would be. I would need to do some more research into some left backs as possible cover. I like Timothy Castagna. I like him for his versatility at Leicester. Maybe that's someone that we could consider looking at in the future. But if we can get a player as good as Tierney, that's more reliable and remains fitter for longer periods of time, I think it's a no-brainer to consider that move. Why wouldn't you sign someone as good as Tierney? If I told you we were getting someone as good as Tierney and has got as good a character as Tierney and, remains fitter than Tierney, why wouldn't you do that? So, who knows? I don't think it will happen for them, for the record. I think Tierney will stay, and if he does, great. I hope he stays fit. But that's always the big question surrounding Tierney, is can he stay fit? Greg says, is Xhaka one that will be staying past this season? I'd love him to always have got the impression he was out the door. He looks like he's going to stay, and I think he is going to stay. I'd be shocked if he left in the summer transfer window, to be honest. Ben Johnson from West Ham says, Craig, more of a right back, is he not? I suppose he has played left back at times. Tyreek Mitchell's a good shout. Alphonso Davies is never going to leave Bayern for Arsenal. I'd be shocked if he left, that's for sure. Anyway, we're going to wrap things up there. Please, if you haven't already, drop a like on the video. Let's have a quick check on our poll before we go. 45% would have Gabriel Jesus. 36% would have Nunez. 4% would have Tammy Abraham. And 15% would have Victor Osimhen. Very, very interesting that Jesus is leading this list. Is that because he looks the most likely? Very interesting indeed that he's been ranked there above those three strikers outright. So fantastic stuff to see people getting more on board with the Gabriel Jesus hype train. We love to see it. Please do drop a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you are indeed new around here with those notifications turned on so you never miss a show. I'll be live over on the Arsenal Way at 10 a.m. It's been a pleasure to speak to you guys as it always is. And as always, up the Arsenal.